What's going on? Albie with Albie Fitness Gaming, and you've seen the title of the video. You know why you're here. Green-White ValueTown, and today we're playing against Temur Delver. So Temur Delver, this deck here brings back a lot of memories from back in the day playing when I used to play a lot of Legacy with Maverick and Death and Taxes. I used to play a lot against Rug Delver, Canadian Threshold Delver. And it's kind of like the same concept, I'm assuming, here in Modern, although it's not as efficient as it is in Legacy, because in Legacy you have Wastelands. Is Stifle legal in Modern? I don't remember. I don't think it is. But you have Stifle, Wastelands, and basically what the deck wants to do is it wants to land an early Delver and then protect it with Force of Will, Daze, Spell Pierce. Some even play Spell Snare. And then they mana deny you with Wastelands and stifling your fetch lands. And then, they also play like Lightning Bolt, and at the time they played Wild Mongoose and Tarmogoyf. So, really efficient threats, and they just protect them, and they make you stumble by mana denial. They have Brainstorm and Ponder, which is, in every blue Legacy deck, to filter through their deck. And that's the game plan. That's how they win games. So, Thalia, as you can imagine, is really good against them. Knight of Reliquary was really good. Mother of Ruins was really good. Swords was good. So, when I'm playing against this deck, the reason I'm telling you guys this is that that's the same idea I'm thinking, right? I'm like, all right, well, if they're playing Temur Delver, then they want to, put down an early threat and protect it and kind of like control the board and win that way. So that's how we have to play against this deck. So let's jump into it. Now, obviously, I did not know we were playing against Temur Delver until the first matchup was in the books. I mean, the first game. So right here off the top, they play Sleight of Hand. I'm thinking, okay, we're playing against, some type of Storm deck or a combo deck. So I'm like, man, I really wish we had a Thalia. But we don't. But we do have a Path. So I'm thinking, okay, we're good. So decent hand. Good enough, right? We have our Stoneforge Mystic, we have our Voice of Resurgence, and we drew into a Courser of Crufix. So, I mean, we can play Magic this game. So, Thought Scour here at this point, and then they have a Lightning Bolt. I see Lightning Bolt hit the bin, and I'm already thinking, and then I see Tarfire, and I'm like, okay, so this is not Storm. What is this, right? I see the colors, the Temur colors. I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe they have like, I don't know, Bloodbraid Elf maybe, and maybe it's an aggressive deck. I'm not even sure at this point, but I am assuming things like Tarmogoyf and possibly Bloodbraid Elf, and obviously, Mana Leak and things like that are things that most of these decks do play. So we end up just going with the Stoneforge Mystic here over the Voice of Resurgence to try to get some pressure in. I don't think this deck is going to be sitting back and trying to counter all our spells, so I'd rather put down the Stoneforge Mystic and get more aggressive than playing Voice. If I knew we were playing like against a blue-white, then maybe I would consider doing the Voice first, because I know they're going to leave mana up to try to counter whatever we do, and at that point, Voice is really good. Hooting Mandrills. So at this point, I'm like, okay, so this is some type of, and then the Delver comes on. So I'm already like, okay, this is Temur Delver. This is a Temur deck, Delver deck back in the day, Rug style. So I'm like, okay, I know how to play against these, right? They want to get out these fast, efficient threats and beat face and prolong our game plan. That's why they had all those removal spells. All makes sense now, right? So now we know what we need to do. And knowing is half the battle. Alright, so obviously Batterskull going to be really good here. Now, in Modern, flipping a Delver is a lot harder than it is in Legacy. But opponent is, Legacy lucky here and flips the Delver on the first try. Now, Curious Obsession, pretty decent card. I remember I used to play that card back when it first got printed, when I used to play Blue-White Spirits. That was one of the enchantments that I added kind of as tech to gain card advantage, because since that deck did not play Collected Company, it was, you know, it can easily be destroyed, you know, if you get 2 for 1 or even 3 for 1, which Modern has a lot of ways to make that happen. So we're going to go ahead and path the Mandrill here. Avoid them from getting any further value. And we're going to be able to get down this Batter Skull here. And then once we have this Batter Skull, we do have the sword, the Skyclave. So we should be able to take over this game. This is the way that I'm thinking. The reason I was going so slow there, I remember when I was watching the game, was because I was, you know, one, I felt like they were going to bolt my Stoneforge Mystic, so I didn't want to like click through it too fast. And two, I was thinking like, okay, I'm going to play this Batter Skull. If it, you know, I'm trying to run the plays through my head, you know, to see what I'm going to do next. We definitely know we're playing the Batter Skull, and then but then we have to assume, okay, if they kill the Stoneforge, are we playing the Courser? Are we going to play the Voice? Are we going to play the Skyclave sword? You know, I was just trying to run all that, but honestly, sometimes, you know, you overthink plays and you shouldn't have to. Like, it's pretty self-explanatory what we really want to do here in this matchup, right? Like, the opponent's an aggressive deck. We have a Batter Skull. Why not make the biggest Batter Skull we can and try to gain life and, you know, avoid, you know, basically prolong them from killing us while we set up a board state. So Force of Negation there. They 2 for 1 themselves for that. That's like, we're fine with that, because now we're just dealing with a Delver and we win this race, right? And they have 1 card in hand and they only have 3 lands in play. So currently this race is fine for us. They do play a Tarmogoyf here, a pretty big boy here at 5'6", ready to clap. So now we're in a little bit of trouble, because we can't just attack into the Goyf, but if we have to, we will, because they don't have that many resources. We do have the option here of playing a creature, blocking or attacking with the Germ token. At this point, I'm thinking more about blocking in case they try to attack with the Goyf and the Delver, and we can always just equip the Batter Skull to one of our creatures here. So the reason I go with the Voice of Resurgence and Courser here over the Collected Company is because Collected Company, as you know, is very random, right? And sure, we can hit Collected Company and we would have hit a Skyclave, as we can see here, and that would have been really good for us. But we don't know that. So I'd rather put down the Courser, where we can start gaining some life and negating some of the damage that we'll be taking from this Delver. And then a Voice of Resurgence is good because we can use it as a chump blocker against the Goyf if we don't want to lose our Germ. Also, if they have any type of removal, you know, it's going to allow us to have an extra creature to chump block if they're able to get rid of this Germ. So, you know, I'd rather have these 2 creatures in play than playing the Company there, which would have gave us a random, you know, 1 or 2 creatures or even 0. So here we're going to stick to the plan. We're going to double block the Goyf here. I mean, they could have Bolt here, but that's fine because they have 1 card. If that's the card that they have, that, like, we're good with that because we have Company. We know we're going to be drawn into Skyclave, so we're going to be in good shape, and we can always equip this Batter Skull to the Germ, to the Elemental token or the Courser. So we're in good shape here. So they don't have a removal spell, so we're able to trade off with the Goyf there and still keep our Voice. So them not having a removal spell, this is where I ask you guys, my friends, do you think that was a good attack on their end, knowing that they were going to trade their Goyf for a Germ token and also give us 4 life and allowing us to equip the Batter Skull now and take over the game. Again, we don't know what they have in their hand, but I don't know why, if that attack was the best. You guys let me know in the comment section. Let me know. I don't play this deck. I only play the green-white good stuff. So you guys let me know, any of you Temur Delver players out there, let me know if that was a good attack or not. Alright, so now at this point, I'm just thinking, okay, the game's pretty much over. I didn't even have to play the Skyclave there because it's like, why play the Skyclave? They didn't have a removal spell, otherwise I'm sure they would have taken care of both of our creatures and kept their Goyf. Let's just go ahead and start gaining life here, right? Because their way to beat us now is just going to be this Delver. I mean, even if they draw into a Tarmogoyf here, there's not much they can do other than try to ride this Delver into victory. And at the end of the day, once I see the opponent who's playing an aggressive deck, once they stop attacking, it's like a shark, blood in the water. I already know if you're not attacking me and you're playing an aggressive deck, we're winning. We're going to win the game. Because at that point, we did what we want to do, is we want to put the aggressive deck on defense so that we can go ahead and beat them at their game. So let's reverse here. See what they're searching for here. A Tarmogoyf, a 6/7, a big man on campus, but not bigger. Or, I mean, can get not bigger than our Courser per se, which means that we would still gain a bunch of life. So opponent does not attack there with the Delver. So at this point, I'm like, all right, we're good. Opponent's not attacking with the Delver, and they scoop it up. Like I mentioned, and I mention in all my videos here, when you're playing against an aggressive deck, once you put them in a position, okay, where they can they're not attacking you anymore, the chances of you winning drastically go up. Because as an aggressive deck, right, that's how you win. So if they can't attack you, they can't beat you. Think about it. Think about it. All right, so moving on to game number 2 here. Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, is one that you could consider bringing in. Since they have a lot of, cheap removal, we saw the Tarfire, we saw the Lightning Bolts. Voice of Resurgence is just better because, it leaves a creature behind, which we can also use to attack or block. And I've talked about this before. There are some decks that, you look at them and you're like, oh, they play a lot of spells. I'm going to play Thalia. And it's like, well, Thalia is not always good against decks that play a lot of spells, right? Especially a Delver deck, because they can easily get rid of it. But a Voice is a lot better because it allows you to keep a creature behind, and those creatures come in handy, those elementals, to block, and they get very massive, very fast. So hand here, not the greatest, very slow hand. Opponent already starting off with a Delver of Secrets, and we have no play here. So we're already on the back foot here, but that's fine. I'm used to playing from this position here. And of course, let's see if the Delver flips in Modern. And yep, Legacy flip with a Lightning Bolt on top revealed. So now we're in trouble, right? And this is where these Temur decks, these Delver decks, this is what they want to do. They want to get that early threat, and then they want to protect it. They probably have Mana Leak up, but now they play another Delver, but they definitely have Lightning Bolt, so they're going to be able to get rid of whatever we play here. Luckily for us, we do have a Skyclave, which is going to be able to stem the bleeding a little bit. The Stoneforge is going to eat the Lightning Bolt 9 times out of 10 here. I don't see why it wouldn't. So at this point, it's just like, are they going to be able to flip this other Delver of Secrets? We really need them not to flip this Delver of Secrets. If they do, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. So just like anticipated here, we knew about this. We knew this was going to happen. There's nothing we can do about that but continue playing. So the Delver flips. So now we're in big trouble. So I see the Disturbing Show, so I'm like, okay, so they do have some type of counter magic, which can be troublesome, right? Because now they can protect these Delvers, and it's not going to take too long for them to take over the game. play the third land here. At this point, I'm kind of hoping they play something. Because I really want to be able to land the Skyclave on one of those Delvers. That's going to at least give us a shot at this game here. Lenny underscore is living his best life right now, by the way. Alright. So, you know, we're just playing to our outs here. We're in bad shape right now, but, you know, it is what it is. We can still win this. You know, we can always just draw into a path next turn, and then we can cast Knight of Reliquary and Path, and we would be in a really commanding position here. So, although we had some stumbling in the beginning, and they started off with a very aggressive start, 2 flip Delvers immediately, we're still in decent shape here. So the 1/1 illusion, obviously not a big problem here. We do not care. Them trading their Lightning Bolt for our Skyclave is not too bad. They are with 1 card at hand, and they're dealing 4 points of damage of turn. We're going to be able to block this illusion fairly easily here. You know, basically anything we play. The main concern here is that Delver, right? And now they play a Tarmogoyf, which happens to be their last card. And now, my friends, we are in big trouble. We really needed a Path to Exile there. Or at least a Skyclave. Or even better, a company into 2 Skyclaves would have been nice. So here at this point, you know, I'm doing the math. And I'm like, okay, there's, you know, it's going to take a lot, right? Because they're going to hit us for 3 here. And we know they play Lightning Bolt and Tarfire. You know, and they're going to get us down to 3. And once we're at 3, like, it's going to be very hard for us to, you know, come back, because it's going to take us a little bit to rebuild our board. And, I mean, they can just draw a Lightning Bolt. And if they play, you know, Snapcaster, like, now they have, like, 8 Lightning Bolts. I don't know if this deck plays Snapcaster. Maybe 1 or 2, possibly. I'm not too sure. So opponent here thinking about, I was about to say, yeah, it looked like they were thinking about just only attacking with the Delver, but yeah, definitely I personally would attack with the Tarmogoyf. I mean, why not? You have to block the Goyf, right? You're going to get a free card out of there. And now we're at 3. We have entered the danger zone. So, yep, no path. So there's really nothing we can do here that I can think of. I mean, we can crack the Horizon Canopy here to see about drawing into a sword. I mean, into a path. Which I do not do. You know, but what I could have done here is, you know, and I would say this is probably a misplay, but I mean, I don't really think we were going to win this anyways, but what I could have done to play better to my outs is I could have cracked the Horizon Canopy and see about drawing another card, and hopefully drawing into a path, and then we can path the Delver, then the attack. We would then take 1 from the illusion, block the Goyf, tap our Knight, grow our Knight, possibly get a Ghost Quarter off tonight so that we can kill their Goyf, and then we could have continued playing, and we would have been like I think we would have, yeah, we should have been still at 3 at that point. So that's a small misplay on my end there. I'm not going to sit here and say that cost me the game. We could have won it. No, man. The chances of that happening would have been very, very slim. So here, obviously we're going to die. I just grab a fetch land and I fetch so that we kill ourselves. Because, you know, why not? But this is why it's good to look over your matches, because you can see them and you'll be like, okay, look, I made a misplay there. Would have I won the game if I would have done that? Probably not. We were like, you know, far behind, but it would have given us a chance to win the game, right? Like if we would have killed, sacked the Horizon, drew a path, and did the play that I mentioned with the Knight blocking the Goyf, like we would have been back in the game. We would have been basically almost dead. They just need to draw like a tar fire or something. But, you know, maybe we can like play the batter skull and maybe they don't draw anything and now we attack with the batter skull and we're back in the game. So we're on the play here. Knight of Autumn. We're playing that card just because of gaining life. You know, gaining an extra 4 life in a matchup like this against aggressive decks, it can be the difference between a turn, and you know the difference between a turn can make a big difference because you can draw into what you need. So Lenny mulliganing here to 6, which is good news for us because these decks, you know, they go through their resources fairly fast, and their cards like are not individually like super strong. They're like, you know, 1 and 2 mana cards. So I mean, they're decent. 4 out of 10 at best. So no island, so we don't have to worry about the Delver coming in first turn. So that's good news for us because our hand is not the fastest, but we do have 2 Path to Exiles and a way to gain life. So the way I'm thinking is, okay, we're going to be able to buy ourselves enough time and run through some of their resources until we can at least get some decent threats. We play a lot of threats, so you know the chances of us drawing one is very high. A Voice of Resurgence, a good card here. Possibly the greatest card. What am I saying? Not possibly. The greatest card in Magic's history ever created. The card is cracked, my dude. Alright, Delver's Secret. He's back at it again. And there is the Tar Fire. So, you know, there it is. We got our little token guy. And now we can make the decision on whether we want to path or go ahead and play our Knight of the Reliquary. I'd rather have the Knight down here because like we're not under any pressure right now, and a 4/4 Knight is going to be very hard for them to get rid of because they don't play things like Fatal Push or Path. So they're going to need like 2 lightning bolts to get rid of this Knight, and our Knight is going to race a lot faster than their Delver. And their Delver is not even flipped. But of course it flips. But of course, our opponent running perfect. Perfect flips every turn. At this point here in the game, I'm feeling pretty good. We have the biggest creature on board, which is really important against other aggressive decks. We have 2 pieces of removal for any threats that they play. They're only playing 2 cards. I mean, they only have 4 more cards. And we have a way to gain life or to get rid of any artifacts or enchantments that they might surprise us with. If they were to play, for example, Blood Moon, we can tap for green, sack it with the Knight, get a Plains, colorless, and kill it. Like, I'm just thinking of all the possible scenarios of what this person can do. So they're attacking here with the Delver. Makes sense here. They're not going to block with it, so why not? So we're not going to... At this point, you know, I'm just thinking, do we just path the Delver and get it over with? But it's kind of like... I don't like using my removal spells. Like, I like to hold on to them as much as I can, for as long as I can, right? Because if the creature is not going to kill me, like this Delver is, like, to me it's not really a threat right now currently because we still have a pretty demanding board presence. Like, I don't care about it, right? What do I care about right now? Tarmogoyf. Tarmogoyf is a bigger threat than the Delver right now because we're going to win this race. You know, they could, you know, Windmill Slam a land next turn and play 2 Goyfs, and then, like, you know, those deserve to get path way more than that Delver. So we're just gonna, you know, I could see putting 2 counters on the Knight. What this would do is it would accelerate us killing them. You know, I think it would we would kill them next turn assuming they didn't play anything, right? Because we can just ghost quarter ourselves. But I went for the safer play, probably not the best play, most optimal play personally. And I just gained a life. And there's the threat that I spoke about, right? Like the Tarmogoyf. And this is why you don't just throw away your removal when you don't have to. So at this point, you know, they just play a Goyf, so and they didn't play a land, so I'm like, all right, we're pretty good here, right? Like we have 2 pieces of removal. We might as well just go ahead and get rid of the Delver. Now, if they would have played another Goyf, then we go after both of the Goyfs, and then we can Ghost Quarter ourselves, making the knight a 6/6, and we can then crack the horizon, making him a 7, and, you know, coming in for lethal. So we draw into the Collected Company here. And boys and girls, this is just overkill. Honestly, we could have just pathed the Tarmogoyf here, right? But instead, we're going to try to just go in ham. We could have just pathed the Tarmogoyf and, like I mentioned before, Ghost Quarter ourselves, cracked the Horizon Canopy, and came in for lethal. But I guess you can say this is the safer play. Like, there's really nothing they can do about it. I mean, they could have Spell Pierce, but we could then activate Knight, fetch out a land, and pay for that. I'm assuming this has to be a concession here. I mean, they have 3 cards in hand, no board, and, you know, it's GG, my friends. So what can the opponent have here? Nothing. And let's see what they had. Lightning Bolt. Yep, Bolt here. So they're going to be able to Bolt, get a token here, and block. So if we would have went the other route, just pathing there, we would still have Collected Company up. But then they would have lightning bolted the Knight of Autumn. So yeah, we probably would have not closed the game that way. And then we would have used the Ghost Quarter. So yeah, I think, and this is just me, man. I always go back and look over these plays and I'm like, oh, I could have done this and I could have done, and I just go into these rabbit holes. Either play, I think, at that point right there, to be honest, is fine. Right? They were both going to lead to some sort of victory because we're so far ahead. But don't be like me when it comes to this, man. Don't go down the rabbit hole like, oh, if I would have done this, then and what would have been the most optimal play? I mean, it's a good habit to have, but I sometimes get too tied up on small little things. All right, so opponent here, I'm assuming they're going to go try to grab maybe a Tarmogoyf. But even that, they're going to require another creature to block. And then we have the 2 Horizon Canopies here that we can obviously start drawing extra cards if needed. We have a removal spell that's going to get rid of whatever creature they play. I don't see how they're going to win this personally. I mean, they could grab a Tarmogoyf, right? Play a Goyf, play a land, play another Goyf. Now they have no cards. They're tapped out. We path one of the Goyfs and we win, right? All right, well, there it is against Temur Delver. If you saw any plays that I could have played a lot sharper that I didn't already mention, go ahead and comment at the bottom. Also, if you're a Temur Delver player, or if you played this deck before and you saw some misplays or things that they could have done better, let me know in the comment section, okay? Again, guys, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share my video. It really helps out a lot. And peace out. Bye!